welcome to the demo for Multi-Site Rollout Tracker. My name is Miraj Ahmed, and I'm very excited for the launch of this application. A little bit about myself. I have more than 20 years of experience managing PMOs, project management offices, turning around projects, managing project managers, doing several rollouts across the country. I'm excited because I can see the gap that this application is going to be filling in from a rollout tracking perspective. This application, even though the name says multi-site rollout, it can be used for single site or single rollouts as well. It gives you the visibility for how the rollout is going on from a management perspective, real time, as well as it gives you the people who are rolling out, it gives them guidance for what is the next step, how long it should be taking and how long it has taken, any description about the steps, and how the overall rollout is going amongst the different steps. In the case of multi-site, it also gives the command center information as far as how the different sites are doing, and not only that, but also provides data that they can use in future to see if there's a certain roadblock that is coming in, if there's a certain things that are taking longer than it should be, trying to optimize it for the future, trying to see if there's a certain technician that is doing the rollout, if they're taking longer on certain steps and they need to be trained, or if there needs to be some changes from a technician perspective. It will give you all that information. Again, this is the first version of this app, and we are planning to add a lot more features in the future releases. But we thought that basically this would be the MVP, or the minimum viable product for launching this application. So without further ado, let me just kind of go through a couple of slides and then we'll get into the application itself. So what types of companies? The first type of companies is basically very standard, that you have a corporation that has multiple sites. For example, you can think about a retail corporation, Walmart or Target, or smaller corporations, if you will, where you can see that they have multiple stores with similar technologies across the board, if you will. And if you are doing rollouts in that company, that basically you don't want to do like one site at a time. You're trying to do multiple sites, and the more sites you're doing, you're getting more operational efficiencies, your financial efficiencies. You're trying to get your support instead of having to support multiple different types of system. You're trying to upgrade them together. The faster you upgrade this, the faster your support burden becomes simpler. So that's kind of one of the scenarios. Another type of the companies are basically, these are the companies that may be kind of more consulting type companies, or more of the vendors that may be supporting these rollouts. So, for example, think about a supporting company. I'm calling it MSRT company. MSRT basically standing for Multi-Site Rollout Tracker, which has multiple clients, and each client has multiple sites, if you will, and they're rolling this out. The way the security is set up is the MSRT company would be able to see all these different companies, but within the companies, the users within the companies are able to see only their company for the rollout. So that's kind of the second model. And as I mentioned, even though we are calling it multi-site rollout because that's kind of our focus, but this also serves for single site rollouts as well, to track, to give the information to the people who are doing the rollout. What are the next steps, details about the steps, what is the next step coming up, how long it should be taking, and how long it has taken, and also giving management the visibility on where the rollout exists more real time. This application works on all platforms. It's a browser-based application, and we have set up the real estate so that it works on not only Windows and Mac desktops or laptops, but also works on mobile devices. The idea is that the tech in the stores or the tech at the site is basically using should be able to use their mobile phones to be able to basically mark the step complete and then see what next steps are coming up and get the details that they need in the real state of a mobile phone device. So the different roles that we have in this application right now. So we have the admin role, super users, users, and viewers. So some of these are pretty intuitive. So admin role is the application administrator. So they have the add, modify, delete user capabilities. Super user is sort of like the project manager or manager type of roles in the organizations. These are the roles that would be creating the different plans for rollout. So the cutover plan they're going to be creating. So the different steps, how long the steps are going to be, who all are going to be involved with rolling out. That's kind of the role of this user. Then we have the user role, which is the people who are actually executing the plan, who are actually doing the rollout. So for example, if this is a store, a retail store, then these are the people who are actually doing the rollout in the store. Viewer is basically the command center or the management who are in real time looking at what's going on the night of the rollout or the day of the rollout to see how things are progressing, to address any things that need to be addressed immediately to keep the rollout going smoothly. So those are the four different roles that we have. And we are going to see the different menus, etc., that these are the application has that these roles relate to. So without further ado, let's get into the application and then we are going to look at other things. So this is the login screen. So I'm just going to enter a dummy ID that we have created for the demo. Okay, so this is my first screen. As I log in, I'm the admin and I'm logging into this first screen. So let's kind of first look at the different menus that we have in the application. And we're going to go in more details through each of these menus as we actually run an actual test. So dashboard, as the name suggests, that kind of gives you a high level view of all the different jobs that are going on during that duration. So as we are in the dashboard right now, these are the jobs that are basically going on November 5th. Today is November 5th. So that's what it is showing right now. We are going to be creating more jobs here. We don't have any jobs right now. And as you'll see that basically it's not just kind of at a high level overview, but you can get a more detailed overview as you can drill into these different jobs. We have manage users. As you can imagine, that's basically setting up different users. The admin is able to set up different users, how many licenses we have and how many are used, that kind of thing. Master files basically have the different customers. If you remember seeing this thing, a company can have one customer, can be the only customer, or a company like a vendor company that is rolling out different clients, they may create different companies underneath them. So that's what a customer is. Checklist template. Checklist is really the job that is going to be running at the site during the cutover. So that is kind of where we can create a template that basically we can use for multiple different sites. And then we can get into the manage checklist. This is basically where we are going to be creating the actual checklist for the different jobs that are going to be running at the different sites. So I'm going to delete these jobs. So we'll create something from the very beginning. All right. So now the first thing what we are going to do is basically we are going to create a customer. Okay. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to name the customer Acme Stores. Okay, so now we have created a customer, our first customer. Okay, let's assume that basically we are the only customers, Acme Stores, and now I'm going to be creating the sites under Acme Stores. So I'm going to create the first site I'm going to name it Site 1. Give it a person's name. This is not required. The person's name is not required for the site. It is required for the customer. Time zone. So this is important that we have to set the time zone for the store, because we are going to be seeing the job which is running based on the time zone is going to make the calculation. So since Dallas is in US Central Time, I'm going to pick US Central Time. So there's US Central Time. I picked US Central Time and I say submit. So that's my first site. Let's create another site just so we can see how this works. So since San Francisco is in US Pacific Time, I'm going to pick Pacific Time, and my second site is going to be in Pacific Time Zone. Okay, so now I have created a customer and I've created two sites underneath that customer. Okay, I already have some techs that I have created previously, Tech 1, Tech 2, Tech 3. These are all user roles. So these are the people who are actually going to be running the jobs, if you will. Okay, so now now that I've created a customer, and under that customer I've created two sites. Now I'm going to go to creating a job template for that customer. So what I'm going to do is, let's first look at what type of job we are going to be creating. So let's look at, this is what I'm going to be creating. So this is a very simple job. You can make very complicated job in this tool, and that's what this tool is for. And what I've done is basically I've kept the times very time durations very short, so that we can basically see this thing running during the demo. So we have 7 tasks here, and as you can see, task 2 is dependent on task 1, and tasks 3, 4, and 5 are dependent on task 2, and then so on. And each one have some durations for it. This path is the critical path. Okay, if you look at the durations, critical path meaning the longest path, so which is 11 minutes in this case, that I've set up some very short times for each task. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and create this template inside multi-site rollout tracker. So let's go here and let's say checklist template. I've already done that. And then we are going to come here. Okay, I'm going to make this thing a little smaller so that we can see both screens. Okay, so here's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to add a task. So this is a plus sign to add the task. I'm going to say task 1. And you can add any description here that you need for example, if you need some training for the tech to basically how to run task 1, etc., you can add it there. And task 1 is, if you see, that's 2 minutes, so I'm just going to add 2 minutes. Task 2, let's add another task. All right, so I've created all these tasks. What you see here is the left-hand side is the predecessor. So what it means is task 1 can start after start. Task 2 can start after start. Task 3 can start after start, and so on. And after task 1, the next task is basically end. Okay, task 2, the next task is end. So obviously that's not the dependencies that we want. We want to set up these dependencies. So what we'll do is we are going to quickly make these dependencies for this. So simply what you do is task 2 starts after task 1. So you can just take this and kind of overlay that on task 1, and now you see that task 1 has to be completed before task 2 starts. Okay, and then you can do the same thing with task after that. Task 3, 4, 5 are dependent on task 2, so let's do that. Task that makes that dependency, task 4, and then task 5, and that's it. So now we have created all these dependencies. We still have to do task 6 and task 7. So let's do task 6. Task 6 is dependent on two tasks, task 3 and task 4. So let's do that. Task 3 and task 6 is also dependent on task 4. You see that? So task 6 is now dependent on 3 and 4. And then task 7 is dependent on only task 5. Okay. So now we have created all these dependencies that took me a lot of time to create in PowerPoint. Okay. So as you see that basically task 1, let's just do a quick check. Task 1 is the first task. After that is task 2. So that's dependent on that. Task 3 is dependent on task 2. Task 4 and task 5 are dependent on task 2 as well. And then task 6 is dependent on 3 and 4. Where is task 6? 3 and 4. And then task 7 is only dependent on task 5. So there you have it. Those are our dependencies. So what we see on the left hand side are the predecessors. That means the tasks that have to be completed before this task starts. And then on the right hand side, you see the successors, meaning the task that can start after this task finishes. Okay. Now, in order for you to kind of manage your real estate, you may want to, suppress one of these sites. For example, you can suppress the successors if you click on this thing. You can suppress the predecessors if you press on that button. You can bring them back by clicking on that. So that's it. That's basically, you have now created a template. Let's name this template, say Acme Stores template 1. Okay, and let's save it. And now you have a template. Okay, you can create more templates if you want, but for our demo purposes, that was it. Now, one other thing I wanted to show before we go out of this thing. Let's go to the new template that we created. What you can see here is this button, calculate critical path. If you remember, our job here is 11 minutes. So that's kind of the maximum time it should plan time that it should take to run the whole job. Okay. So you see that basically if you click on that, it figures out what is the critical path, what are the tasks that are on the critical path, and how long it's going to be taking for it to run. Okay. So that kind of gives you a quick sense to see, once you have set up the dependencies and all those things, that basically what is on the critical path, how long it's going to be taking to run this. Now let's create this job at our site. So if you remember, we created 2 sites. I'm going to use those 2 sites to create jobs. Okay, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to say create my first job. Checklist for site 1, and I'm going to say Acme Stores is my customer, and site, if I enter like 2 letters, it will tell me anything which is related to this customer. Okay, here I'm basically start time and end time. So what I'm trying to do here is I want to see what should be the constraint. In other words, does the job have to finish at a certain time, or does the job has to begin at a certain time? If it has to stop or finish at a certain time, then end time would be my constraint. If it has to begin at a certain time, then start time would be my constraint. In this case, I'm going to set it up so that start time is my constraint. And I'm going to basically say that today is the 5th, and I'm going to start it at 4 p.m. Okay. So I've done that. So it's going to be starting at 4 p.m. I'm going to add users to it. So in this case, I'm going to just say that I am going to be Tech 1 is going to be the one who is going to be running this job. Okay, so I'm going to say Tech 1, adds it there. I can either manually add tasks and dependencies, etc., or I can just load it from the template. So here we go. Just entering a couple of letters, it brings up my template that I just created, and there you have it. Okay, if you see that if it calculates the critical path 11 minutes, and in this case also, since we set up 4 p.m. as our start time, it's calculating what time it's going to be ending as well. Okay, so now that we have it, we are going to save it. Okay, let's create another one. Let's create one for site 2 as well. Okay, I'm going to again get this, and I'm going to say site 2, and this time also I'm going to pick 4 p.m. store time. Now, one of the important things is this is the store time. So when I say 4 p.m., it's specific time. Okay, I'm in central time. So let's add a couple of users. Let's say there are 2 different users that are going to be running this this job at this site. I can pick multiple users. What that will do is basically that will give them access to run the job. And again, I'm going to load the template for site 2. And there you have it. I'm going to save it. Okay, and now I'm going to just get out of this thing. And you see that basically I've created two jobs here, site 1, site 2. Okay, and if you look into the details, site 2 is specific time, if you remember. And since I'm in central time, and I said for the job to begin at 4 p.m. Pacific time, Central Time is 2 hours ahead of Pacific Time, and that's why it's showing my time as 6 p.m. Okay, so other than when you're creating the job as the start time and the end time, which is going to be the store time, everywhere else, for convenience sake, we are going to be displaying the users based on the user's time zone. Okay, so it's telling me that this job can begin at 6 p.m. or has to begin at 6 p.m. and this job, since this is in central time zone, it's telling me that it's beginning at 4 p.m. Okay, all right, now that we have that, it's 3:55 p.m. about my time. Okay, so what I wanted to do is actually wanted to run this job, and so that we can basically see how things are working, etc. This the one big thing about this was we wanted to make sure that the people, the techs that are running the jobs can easily use this application on their mobile phone, etc. So they don't have to finagle with papers or laptops or anything big. So I'm going to be, in a minute, I'm going to be displaying my screen so that you can see what's going on the other side as well. Okay, so I'm going to be mirroring my computer or my phone, sorry. So here's my phone, okay, and I'm going to, this is the tech's phone, so I'm going to log in as the tech. So bear with me one sec, I'm just entering the different information, and not as good as my kids to enter on my phone here. Then my Pro, just a test company that we have set up. And here, so this is the tech coming in and logging in from their phone. He or she is able to see what jobs are assigned to them that they can run. Okay, so what we'll see is basically right now it's 3:57 p.m. Central Time, and what we will see is, purposely I'm going to delay it a bit, the start, so that we can see different things that are happening from a command center. So now I'm going to get into the dashboard. Okay, and the dashboard is, since it displays all the jobs that are scheduled for that date. Okay, so again, this is based on me, the person who's logged in. So today's November 5th, it's 3:57 p.m. Central Time, right? So what you see is the 2 jobs that I've created, they are pending right now, and you can see It gives you some more details that, pending jobs are 2, started jobs are none, etc. I can now also go into the details of the 2 jobs. So here's the details, the Site 1 job and the Site 2 job. Once we start running this thing, you'll see that basically you can actually go to the task level and see how things are going. Okay. So what we will see is based on, so if you have 10, 20 stores, sites that are running together, what you will see is basically all of those sites here, and you can see the colors changing, meaning that basically if anything is running behind, it's going to turn red. So from a command center perspective or from the management perspective, they can actually go into the details and see which task is taking longer, see if they can help the person who's running the job with that, or how they can work on it. So if they need to roll back, whatever they have to take a decision on, hopefully not roll back, hopefully kind of moving forward. But this kind of provides them real time or near real time information so they can take those decisions and not lose critical time. Okay. So as you see that basically there are 7 tasks on that are in each of the jobs that we set up. So it's telling us, how many tasks there are. None of them are completed yet. These are in pending statuses. And this is the time that these jobs are supposed to be starting. 4 p.m. for Site 1, which is in Central Time, and then 6 p.m. Central Time for Site 2, which is in Pacific Time Zone, which 6 p.m. Central Time means 4 p.m. Pacific Time. Okay, so I'm waiting for this thing to be 4 p.m. so that we can see that what happens during that time. And the refresh happens at a certain frequency, which is configurable as well. So let's look at the text phone together with the dashboard here. Okay, still 3:59 p.m. We'll wait for it just turned 4 p.m. now. And as you see that now it's telling us that now this job has not, since it hasn't started yet, it's telling us that basically the job is late. Okay, it's right now 0 minutes late. As we continue through, it will tell us that, if it's further delayed, if you will. Okay, so now I'm going to start the job. So from the tech is going to start the job. So I'm on the tech's mobile phone, and the tech starts the job. Okay, and we have 11 minutes, which is the critical path, right? The total job time to finish the job. Okay, now as you see, it's because of the real estate. What we have also done is, instead of right now by default it's showing all the tasks that are there, but in order to kind of help, the tech, what we can do is basically they just need to look at the active task, right? So the one that basically is running, or the one that has completed, or the one that needs to be started. Okay, so as you see that basically since I'm talking, it's 4:01 p.m. So there are 10 minutes left to complete this job. So it's counting down how much time is remaining. So I'm going to start the first task here. So as you see that, I've started the first task, it changes the button to end, and I can, once the task is completed, the tech is going to end the task, and then it's going to present the next tasks that are due. Now, on this side, from a command center perspective, as you see that the task is already, the job is behind because the tech started late, right? Now, let's look at the view of this thing. So this is the detailed view. It shows us all the different tasks that are here, and like I said, the command center can drill into it and see that basically what's going on, who's running what task. So as you can see that Tech 1 is running the first task, and that's what it's showing. It should take 2 minutes to run this. Now, while it's running, I wanted to show another aspect of this. So you can do toggle calcs, and it shows details of when is EST means early start time, EFT means early finish time, LST means late start time, and LFT means late finish time. So what this means is basically when is the earliest that this task can start, okay? And when is the latest this task can start in order for the job itself not to be delayed, meaning the whole thing not to be delayed. Okay, so it's using this calculation to figure out if overall we are behind or ahead. Okay, so as you see that basically this job, this task should have been finished by 4:02 p.m. in order for us to keep on track. Okay, right now it's 4:03 p.m. right? So we are behind. So now I'm going to basically, the tech is going to complete the task by simply clicking on the end button here. Okay. Now notice that it tells you, the tech, that how he's done, he or she is done, but how much they are behind. It's also giving the command center that information, that how much they are behind. Okay. Now say that the next task is 3 minutes, right? And say that and it should be finished latest by 4:05 p.m. Right now it's 4:03 p.m. And what we are going to do is that we are going to start the task here. The tech is going to start the task here. Okay, so the tech is starting the task, right? It shows that the tech has started the task. And what we'll do is that the tech somehow catches up. So it has to finish at 4:05 p.m. latest, and the tech is able to finish 4:04 p.m. Okay, so let's see what that does. I just hit end. The tech just hit end, and the tech hit completed. So you see that the button is now done, but it's green, meaning that we have caught up on the project. Okay. Now let's look at the next task. If you remember from our slide, after task 2, we have 3, 4, and 5. They all can start together. Okay. So if you see the text phone is showing the same thing, 3, 4, and 5 can now start together. Okay. So let's say that I start this, and start this. Okay. So the tech is a super tech, and he or she is working on multiple tasks together. So now the tech has started 3 tasks together, and these will show up here, 3, 4, and 5 tasks. Okay, so you see tech 1 is on there, meaning that the tasks have started. Now let's go back and look at the previous screen. You see that the tech is behind, so that's why it's showing that this in red right now. And what it's going to do is, once the tech catches up, this will turn into this job itself will be black in color. Okay, it's showing that basically 2 tasks are completed, but we are behind. So what I'm going to do is I am going to finish all these tasks, because the latest one, let's look at the calcs. If you see these calculations, the latest one has to finish by 4:10 p.m. Okay, and it's still 4:06 p.m. So I'm going to end these tasks just so that we can show that how the tech has caught up to this thing. By the way, the reason it was red after done is I was talking and I did not start I went past that certain time when it should have started. So that's why it turned, it's still showing red on the dashboard. So let's go back to the dashboard. And now what I'm going to do is the tech is going to end these tasks. And if you remember, the latest these tasks should be running is 4:10. So if I do that right now, you should see it getting caught up. Okay, so all these tasks are done, right? And now, so that means that I should be ahead, and it's going to update. So now it turns black, meaning that yes, now we are back on track. Now we have completed 5 tasks. 2 more are remaining. These last tasks are remaining. The tech will start these. Okay. And let's end these tasks. And with these tasks, these were the last tasks. So when these tasks are completed, the job can end. All right. So I just completed the job, and now you can see that 7 of 7 tasks are completed. Everything is done. The tech can exit and get done with since he or she is done with the job. So what this gives the capability right now, the job, for because of the demo, I set up the duration of the task very small. But what this gives an opportunity is, one, the tech is able to see without an issue that, what's the next step. We can have details of that step, as I mentioned. If there's any training related thing, we can put it in under the task, and they can see what information relating to the task. Also, they can see if somebody else has started that task, if that they should not run that task anymore. They can see that from a text perspective, the person who's rolling out. They can also see very easily, they can see based on what is going on, based on what everybody's working on, what is the next task that is coming, and they can basically simply start that task. From a command center perspective, command center is able to see not only all the jobs that are going on at a high level, but they can drill into anything that is getting behind. They can actually look into the particular tasks that are behind, that may be running behind, that the tech may need some help with. Also, for after the job, they will also have information to see that what task may have taken longer than expected, right? How they can optimize the job for future jobs. If the same job is running in other site at other sites as well. So all this information they are able to capture and able to make this rollout, this simultaneous rollout that may be going on at dozens of different stores at one time, much more seamless and much more controllable, much more manageable. So that's kind of the goal for this application. I hope you understand that. Please let us know if there are questions, by sending an email to info@multisite tracker, multisite rollout tracker.com, and we will be more than happy to answer them. Also, any suggestions you all have as far as the future release features that need to be added, etc., that would be very helpful. I want this something to be very much helpful to my program management, project management community, as well as to make this very much seamless to the techs that are running the job, and also to the management, so that they can see how to basically improve the throughput, how to add more stores, how to do this job more faster, successfully, with more sites. Thank you. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to more input and more feedback from you.